Michael in Imperial Beach, California. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hey, Tom and Representative Pocan. About Standing Rock. Representative Pocan and Tom, how does the current Congress get around previous laws and dishonor previous treaties made decades and decades ago to allow the stealing of Native American land and dismiss those treaties like they're just nothing? Is it a presidential order? Thanks, gentlemen.
So this is relatively new with what he's done on moving the Keystone Pipeline, the Dakota Pipeline forward. I can tell you that, obviously the issue that we saw with Dakota is gotten a lot of interest. We thought Keystone was a done deal, but this is where if people care about these issues and the integrity of whether it be treaties, about the environmental concerns, about eminent domain and other issues, this is where you got to get active with those groups that are out there fighting back. This is, like I said, it's relatively new with him doing those executive orders, but if he's going to start governing by executive order because Congress, including the Republicans who are now in charge of Congress, can't get things done, he's just going to work around them, that's kind of like a king rather than a president, right? And if he's going to keep doing these kind of decrees to move things forward, we all should be concerned, Democrats and Republicans, because it's as undemocratic as possible. So I guess, be as active with the groups that are working on this, because we are going to have to fight from the grassroots on it. But, these are relatively new, what he's doing. Every day we're seeing new executive orders. We're hearing that they're like I said, we expect today or tomorrow, clearing the path for torture, allowing black site prisons overseas, keeping Gitmo open, temporary bans on refugees and suspension of visas for citizens from some countries, starting the path for building the border wall. All this is happening through executive decree, and that's as undemocratic as you can come.
Yeah, and pretty remarkable. Steve, also watching Free Speech TV, this on the Dish Network in Phoenix, Arizona. Steve, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Good morning, Congressman Pocan.
Morning,
just wanted to say hello and also let you know that I'm a small supporter of your campaigns and also a Madison native. We've been in Arizona for about 30 years, but we got family and friends back there, and in Madison and Kenosha area, and would still like to maybe return back there someday. However, what come to my attention is that Walker has wanted to start privatizing, putting toll roads up on I-90, 94, 39 and such, and what can be done to stop him? Thank you, sir.
Sure. It's interesting because I grew up in Kenosha and live in Madison, so we've got more connections than you know. So, Steve, I think part of it is we have right now in Wisconsin the fourth worst roads in the country because Scott Walker has been unwilling to put money into road and bridge repair, and it's becoming a very severe consequence back home. There have been different efforts. He's rejected increasing the gas tax, which is how we've traditionally funded road building in Wisconsin and most places across the country, and they're looking at other alternatives. I have not heard of a proactive stance to put private tolls in place yet. I know that they would need a federal law change to allow tolling, and that's something that they are exploring. And with Paul Ryan obviously being from Wisconsin, that's something they could probably get opened up. But I have not heard it to the degree that it would be a private tolling option, but we'll definitely watch everything that we can.
He could only do that with state roads.
I'm sorry?
He could do that with state roads.
Yeah, but I don't think he's actually put that idea out. They've actually asked for an option so they can, on the Chicago and other borders, do just public tolling.
Okay. Well, Congressman, we got calls from Wisconsin, Washington, Illinois, Iowa, Pennsylvania, et cetera, and we only have about 7 minutes left, so let's try to get through it quickly here. Patricia in Portage, Wisconsin, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hi, Congressman Pocan. I was born in Madison, and I write the Mad Raven Speak Living Wildlife column for the Capital Times. And my concern is that even Tammy Baldwin is petitioning to delist wolves in the Great Lakes area and return them to the states for massive slaughter. There are hardly any wolves left in this state. And, the whole biodiversity collapse in the world, 2/3 of wildlife across the board gone in 40 years, really has not been out in the public media. And I doubt if it's going to get there with all this upset about Trump. So what can we do to save our wolves?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Tricia, I appreciate the efforts you're doing. All I can say is double down with the groups that are working on this. I know the Humane Society, for example, and other groups are working on this issue. The more that they can have the support through volunteering and other support for what they're doing is the best way we can try to fight this, because we will win if enough people care about the issue and reach out and contact their members of Congress. We saw the enormous power on Saturday, but just double down with those groups, and that's our best efforts we have right now.
Okay. Patty in Harston, I don't know how to say that, Island, Washington. Patty, listening on KBCS, can you tell us? I've said it before correctly. I know where you live.
Well, if you think Hartman, all you have to do is say Hartstein.
Okay, Hartstein. Okay, great. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Good morning, and thank you both. I was going to mention the black sites, but Representative already mentioned them. So what I have is a suggestion. Mm-hmm. The Citizens United case said that money had free speech, First Amendment rights to engage in the political process. I think that everyone who was knocked off of the Chris Kobach list should sue under that same First Right Amendment, because when you get hundreds of millions of dollars, they check your name, they check your number. Human beings were not afforded that same right to exercise their political free speech. And I was wondering what you thought about that idea.
I'm open to any creative thinking on how to fight back on this. That's why, Keith Ellison and I have proposed a constitutional amendment to explicitly guarantee the right to vote. There is not an explicit right within the Constitution. It's certainly implied. We talk about discrimination in voting. But because of it, states like Wisconsin that made it, with photo ID and less early voting and do other things to make it harder for people to vote, the burden is then on them. If there's a constitutional right as an individual, they have to prove they haven't harmed your constitutional right. So we have to be creative on how we attack these issues, because if the people are allowed to vote and they do vote, real important second part of it, we will win. But when they can hold back who gets out to vote and they just get their folks out to vote, we've seen that, especially in off presidential cycles, happen all too often. They're victorious. So I like any creative thinking by people who are working on these issues to try to look at how we can make sure that we keep the democracy as vibrant as possible.
It's Lamini in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Am I saying your name right?
Lonnie, yes.
You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Thanks, Mr. Pocan. I just wanted to ask you real quick, is the Democratic Party going to start taking the gloves off and playing hardball like the Republicans have been doing all through the Obama administration? Because you did a great job for 8 years, and it just seems TV like Fox News is just slammed on every chance they got. And I see this as kind of like the beginning of the end for the Republican Party, because they're going to show their true colors and their true face to the American people, and they're going to finally see what they're all about.
Yeah, we had Nick Mulvaney on TV this morning in his confirmation hearing saying, yeah, I'm here to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, because Donald Trump wants me to. Lamini, thank you for the question. Congressman Pocan?
Yeah, Lamini, if I'm saying that correct. Yeah. Absolutely. I think what we're seeing, not only leading into this session, that people are ready to fight. We got through the shock, the grief, and now they're ready. And people that you wouldn't even expect are ready to stand up and fight hard. But after watching the millions of people come out this past Saturday, just fortified. Let people know that the more we fight, we know people have our backs, and we have to make sure. Like, if someone's going to come out there and say they're going to go after Social Security and Medicare, damn right that's a fight. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen. And when the American people realize they voted for someone who's going to try to advance those proposals, then we can be ready for 2018. So I really feel that people are ready to fight hard on those core principles. And again, thanks to everyone who came out on Saturday, because it just reinforced, I think, the spines that some people needed reinforced.
Amen. Carlana in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You're on the air with Congressman Mark Pocan.
Yes, I was a consultant to the United States Department of Energy in 1980, and I was in the building when the Reagan administration people came in and destroyed practically everything that the Carter administration had done in terms of solar and wind and all the different renewable energies. And I sent emails to your person in your office, William, to warn you a couple of weeks ago about the steps that they can take. Number one, they will eliminate divisions within the department. and the people who are working there have no civil service status when their jobs are eliminated. And number two, after they eliminated the people, more than half of the people in the Department of Energy were fired. Suddenly, it was no longer possible to access reports and files and publications that had been in the Department of Energy. They're doing the same thing, I'm sure, in the Environmental Protection Agency. So then you can't even get to the written materials that are in those two departments. If you try to order something that you can buy, they'll say it's no longer available. And I just wondered if you realized that this had happened before in 1981 when the Reagan people came in.
No, absolutely, and thank you for reaching out to our office with that information, because we saw it this week, right, with the hiring freeze proposal. That's exactly what they're trying to do, is go into certain areas, certain departments, and squeeze them even more. And I've had people in my office that we've had these talks about programs they're afraid of that maybe may go away under some of the efforts they're trying to do. So we're trying to be very watchful, but it is going to be tough. I mean, we used to, at least when we didn't have Congress, we had the White House, and we were able to get information. Now we're going to have to rely on those outside groups all the more. So the more support they have from the grassroots, the more they can support us, the more we can fight back. But I'm very aware of the issue you brought up. We're definitely watching it real closely, and we're already seeing efforts they're making to do exactly what you've said they're going to do. So thanks for reaching out.
Robert in Akron, Ohio. We have a minute and a half left until the end of this hour. Robert, a quick question for Congressman Pocan.
Right. Now, we know that that climate change is very life-threatening for a lot of people. So my question is, would you consider mass civil disobedience at this point, to the point where we're maybe blocking Congressmen from being able to do important votes on their day? Do you consider actions like that to be necessary at this point to stop people who don't want to do anything about climate change?
Yeah, at this point, Robert, to me, the best thing we can do is really what happened Saturday. We showed that there is a muscle out there that people didn't expect. You barely had attendance at the inaugural, although, again, this is another one that President Trump is trying to now change the numbers with alternative facts on. But we have people with us ready to fight. Let's make sure we continue to build that support and get the information out there. And we'll crank it up as we need to crank it up. But right now, let's get people to be activists. If everyone who came to those marches became an activist, we would be stronger than we've ever been. But we need to do that in every community on every issue.
Right. In other words, it's not enough to just march. It's not enough to just vote. You actually got to participate in whatever way is most comfortable to you, with whatever group or inside the Democratic Party. Do I have that right?
Absolutely. And, paraphrasing President Obama when he used to say, when people would boo and they'd hear a certain person's name and say, don't boo, vote. Now we say, don't boo, organize.
There you go.
Get out there and organize.
Yeah. Congressman Mark Pocan, it's always an honor and pleasure to have you, sir. Thank you so much for spending this hour with our viewers, our listeners.
Oh, love it. Thanks, Tom.
And with me. Congressman Mark Pocan, his website, pocan.house.gov. You can tweet him at Mark Pocan or at Rep Mark Pocan, his official site, REP Mark, MARK POCAN. And we'll be right back.